Czy nowa gra Rick and Morty 2, czyli High on Life 2 powstanie? Zobaczymy.
High on Life was by
Zaraz się
far one of
dowiemy.
the most fun games in 2022. And when Squanch Games released High on Life, this funny first-person shooter in December of 2022, it had an immediate influence on the gaming community. Now, despite the conflicting reviews from critics, players everywhere rushed over to experience this unique sense of humor and the engaging gameplay. Now, the game's success has left fans hoping for a sequel, but with the recent circumstances surrounding the studio and the co-founder Justin Roiland, many fans have called the franchise's future into question. So in this
No właśnie, co tam się stało w ogóle? Szczerze to nie byłem na bieżąco, jeżeli chodzi o tę grę. Mega fajnie wyglądała, nie miałem okazji w nią zagrać. Natomiast tam jakieś rzeczy się niedobre podziały, nie? Zaraz się
video, we'll take
dowiemy.
a look at the potential for High on Life 2, as well as some of the challenges that lie ahead for the future of this franchise. So if you're excited for High on Life 2, make sure to drop a like on this video,
Okay.
subscribe with your notifications
Zobaczmy.
turned on, and let's just jump right into the video.
Wiecie, co jest problem? Tych gier dużo wychodzi, ale żeby to sprawdzić wszystko, to trzeba mieć raz, że czas, a dwa pieniądze. Także no...
Before I break this down anymore,
Ciężko.
I actually wanted to let you guys know that at 80,000 subscribers, we're giving away a PS
Okay, giveaway.
ability appealed to many gamers, and many fans and gamers speculated over the positive reception that might lead to the creation of a sequel. Now, before the release of High on Life, Squanch Games expressed their desire for a sequel. In an interview at radiotimes.com, Squanch Games art director and COO Mikey Spano stated that the company plans to extend the game's plot in future iterations. He even hinted at the availability ideas for a sequel's foundation, and what she basically claimed that a teaser had been concealed in the game only for the committed fans to discover. Now, what
Serio? Naprawdę? Czy ktoś to odkrył? Ja nie mam
One of the most
pojęcia.
intriguing aspects of High on Life is its secret ending, an Easter egg that only diehard fans would discover. Now, this secret ending tells more about the game's backstory and even grants players the achievement called sequel bait. And these elements strongly suggest that Squanch Games has plans for a sequel, and quite possibly it's actually in the works. And while these
Oj, to by było mega fajne, nie? Z chęcią muszę sprawdzić jedynkę i jeżeli rzeczywiście pracują już twórcy nad dwójką, to myślę, że wielu fanów Ricka i Mortiego się ucieszy. Ja z chęcią też. W ogóle, jeżeli chodzi o te gry na bazie serialu, jeszcze South Park przecież ma wyjść, więc też się nie mogę doczekać.
The studio's intention for a sequel is obvious. It is contingent on two factors, the revenue and the audience reaction. Mikey Spano mentioned that the decision to develop a sequel is determined on the game's sales, as well as how warmly
Ale sprzedaż raczej była dobra tej gry, nie? Więc i ciepłe było w miarę dobre przyjęcie, więc myślę, że jak
gamers
najbardziej.
reacted to the original game. And seeing as the original game, High on Life, hit all the numbers that fans knew it would, it's kind of obvious that fans definitely want a sequel. So on top of the post-launch content, we were also handed the DLC called High on Knife. And High on Knife
No to DLC to wiemy, High on Knife.
takes the players back to this hilariously weird world of High on Life. This time the quest revolves around Knifey, a talking knife from the original game, who needs your assistance in finding a misplaced box. Now the quest will take you to Salt Lake City, a salty desert populated in these strange slug-like animals. And as one might guess, things do not go as smoothly in this unusual setting. This DLC retains the same goofy and strange tone as the base game. As you know, High on Life has this hilarious setting and almost an absolute absurdity to its plot, but halfway through the DLC
Muszę sprawdzić, bo to jest naprawdę takie komediowe gierki, gdzie fabuła jest nastawiona na zabawę i na śmieszne historyjki, to jak najbardziej
the
dla
tale
mnie.
takes an unexpected turn when you visit a massive cargo warehouse. This change
Cześć,
in the
Greg,
environment
witaj.
greatly transformed the game's vibe, offering an unexpected twist unlike anything we've seen in the previous chapters. And the basic ongoing rumor right now is the DLC vibe and the environment in the DLC. And this vibe is basically going to be the setting and the plot for the future of High on Life. Now, before we get any deeper into talking about why High on Life 2 is actually happening and when we could actually get it, this is now a very important time to note the glaring absence of Justin Roiland. Now, he played a huge role in the success of High on Life.
Okej, czyli ten Okej.
If I'll for
Zobaczmy,
sure go in
co się
greater
tu
detail
wydarzy.
later, but the departure also implies that Kenny, the talking gun who appeared prominently in High on Life, is no longer in the game. So Kenny's
O, to
absence
jest
is felt
słabe.
strongly, even though his fate is only briefly mentioned. Kenny, portrayed by Justin Roiland, he will 1000% not be in the future of the High on Life series, and especially in High on Life 2. So with Kenny's
No to
absence,
jest akurat słaba wiadomość, nie? Dla całej serii. Szkoda. Mam
players
nadzieję,
are
że jeszcze...
introduced to a new gun, Harper, and Harper will serve as the same practical purpose that Kenny did.
Cześć Martyna, witajcie wszyscy. Przepraszam, że nie reaguję tak, ale
with the
oglądamy.
funny, hilarious jokes out of random, and he'll be there to help guide and narrate you through this game. Now, the striking disparity in the characters' emotions has an impact on the overall humor of the DLC, so definitely with the lack of Kenny in the future of the series, and Harper basically taking on the role as Kenny in the DLC, and maybe even be
No tak, kurde, no to jest też słabe, jak się zmienią postacie i głosy i tak
beyond.
dalej,
He'll
nie?
definitely have to work on his hilarious outbursts, and in much of the DLC he was kind of playing as a mute, not really talking very much other than some of the funny remarks in the critical moments of the game. Now, wrapping back around, Justin Roiland's resignation from Rick and Morty, as well as stepping down from the High on Life series, that was definitely due to more than just legal issues. In September, NBC published a report stating that Roiland used his celebrity status to meet and attract young women, and some of which happened to be very, very underage. Now, he was also accused of sexual assault.
O kurde, naprawdę? No to grubo. Ja tak nie śledzę tego wszystkiego, ale jeżeli on takie miał oskarżenia,
which he has
masakra.
strongly denied through his lawyers. But all of these claims, being true or not, definitely harmed his career and
No to na
contributed to
pewno,
the
no to nie ulega wątpliwości, że takie oskarżenia to niszczą życie i
factors of his
karierę.
departure on the Rick and Morty series, as well any action that he wants to contribute to the future of the High on Life series. So as we talk about the aspects of High on Life 2, similar to Rick and Morty, after Justin Roiland's departure and the new season has been announced, the sequel will also have fresh voice actors, and this casting provides an excellent opportunity for both actors to display many of their skills in the global gaming audience. So the gaming industry is no stranger to change, and the one such movement came, like I said, with the Rick and Morty new season. So for the future of High on Life 2, as well as just the original High on Life, or any like future DLC or anything of that nature, we can assume that new voice actors will be cast, and that's kind of where it lies with the potential for High on Life 2. The direction of the game is definitely unknown. We can definitely
No ale jeżeli robią casting, żeby zastąpić te osoby, no to nie ulega wątpliwości, że muszą.
assume that the sequel High on Life 2 will follow the gameplay and setting from the original game. I guess from the gameplay standpoint, High on Knife mostly keeps the original mechanics of its predecessor, but like I said, Harper will be your new buddy, so it definitely just begs the question, who will be our main character in the new game? Who will be the new voice actors in the new game? Will the gameplay follow the aspects of the original? But like I said, although High on Life 2 has not been announced, it definitely does sound like all of the developers are on board, and they definitely want a sequel in the future. And like I said, the studio did say they plan on developing more games, as well as supporting
Okej, czyli jak studio planuje nowe gry, być może jest szansa na tego High on Life 2, być może jakaś nowa produkcja, nie? W takiej samej humorystycznym jakby z takim zachowaniem humoru i w takiej scenarii, no spoko,
High on
czemu
Life
nie?
without Justin
Cześć
Roiland. So it's
Grażyna.
not totally out of the question, but it seems less likely. Squanch Games has released 4 titles in their 6-year-long history, one of them being High on Life, Trover Saves the Universe, as well as Space Heroes, and it's also just crazy to think that none of these games have had a sequel. So it definitely does seem that the developer Squanch Games does prefer making new games, but given how successful High on Life has been, and honestly the amount of money that the game has generated, I mean, even the DLC was $14.99, so this could be an exception where Squanch Games comes out and they say, hey, we want to make High on Life 2. These are going to be the people in it. This is the gameplay style and the setting of the new game. But the future of High on Life and the potential for a sequel is still uncertain. While Squanch Games has expressed their goals, Justin Roiland's departure and the constraints of maintaining the game's signature comedy, that's definitely some challenges the studio will have to face. But the success of High on Life may change the studio's stance of developing the sequel, but only time will tell if fans will actually be able to see High on Life 2. I think it's very plausible that in the
Nie no, na pewno widzowie czy fani serii będą chcieli kontynuacji, tak, drugiej części. Mieliśmy jedynkę, podstawkę, mieliśmy DLC, no i dwójka myślę, że będzie prędzej czy później, tym bardziej, że mieliśmy sukces finansowy.
future we could actually see High
Pod
on Life
względem
2.
popularności
Honestly,
też
maybe
nie
even a
było źle.
remastered version with new DLC to drop, with maybe
Siema,
updated gameplay
kominiarz.
mechanics and maybe new completion challenges. But as the gaming community waits for any updates or official announcements on the future of the High on Life series, my ending thoughts are, well, we really don't know if High on Life 2 is actually going to happen. It seems like the studio is fully on board with the future of the series and continuing with a new game called High on Life 2, but with the amount of sheer backlash that the studio has gotten and the departure of Justin Roiland, it seems that a lot of the future of the franchise is just up in the air. So I guess only time will tell. That's gonna wrap it up with this video, guys. Let me know.
Okej, no powiem wam szczerze, myślę, że osobiście uważam, że są duże szanse na to, że powstanie kontynuacja. Pytanie tylko w jakim okienku czasowym. Pewnie to będzie jeszcze fani trochę poczekają.